So much of your writing has focused on prominent female figures from history, Josephine, Emma Hamilton, and now the rival queens, Mary Queen of Scots and Elizabeth I. I just wondered why you feel it's important to write about these women from our history.
Well, I enjoy it. I really do, and I'm really fascinated by the lives of women. And I think there's been this incredible move during the last 5, indeed every year, move forward of women and history of women, and saying to ourselves, actually, the lives of women is really important. I still sometimes have someone saying to me, you teach a course in history of women at the university? I mean, what's the point of that? But things are really changing, and I think that's marvellous. And we are seeing that these women have such important lives, and also that the questions of their power is very important to look at, and there's lots more to be said about them. But I do think that, I mean, I don't know, but once a publisher, I had this idea about writing a book about a man, and my publisher said to me, really? And maybe she was right. Maybe I don't understand men as well. I don't know.
You're one of the few historians, along with Alison Weir, who can write in both historical fiction and historical non-fiction. How difficult is it to do that?
Well, I mean, I love Alison. I think she's fantastic. I think her novels are brilliant. Her history is brilliant. I love historical novels. And I do write both. And I really think it actually is really good for me. I think that it means I keep the imaginative speculation out of my history books. They were thinking this, even though you don't know. That people, I've occasionally read the odd imaginative reconstruction of people's wedding nights where you really wouldn't know unless they without a report what went on there. So I think it keeps the imagination in the novels, because a non-fiction book, it is about the source, it's about what they say, and you really have to be very careful. You often feel you know something, but you really have to be very careful about it. And sometimes they don't tell you what you need to say. I mean, my first book was on Emma Hamilton, and she met Marie Antoinette when Marie Antoinette was in house arrest in the Tuileries before she tried to escape and then was imprisoned. So she was essentially one of the last people from the outside world to meet the tragic Queen, Marie Antoinette, in the private meeting between the two of them. And Emma Hamilton writes in her letter, I met Marie Antoinette and we had a conversation. And that's it. It's the most heartbreaking thing. I mean, it's awful. I mean, what do they say? And I mean, oh gosh, I can't believe it. And of course, in a novel, you'd make a big scene of it. In the movie, in the TV version of Emma Hamilton, we do make a big scene of it. But in a non-fiction book, I just had to say, they met and they had a conversation. All my editors said to me, American, Canadian, my British editor, all said, this isn't enough. Tell us more. I said, well, there isn't any more. Because if there is, I would have to make it up. So, I mean, I put a bit about how other people said Mary Antoinette looked at the time, but there's no farther you can go. So I do think that, it means to keep the imagination out of the non-fiction and it means I don't put the fact dump in the fiction. So it's good for me, but I can't write one of them at the same time. It's one or the other. I mean, occasionally I might be looking at the proofs of one while I'm writing another. That's one thing, but to really get in the zone of producing the book and hitting the kernel of the book, it's one or the other. And I do find it is a very different mindset. Yes, there's loads of research you have to do for fiction and lots of archival research, but it's slightly different because your character can be born whenever you want, and if you're not writing about a real person, as I don't. So I feel that I'm a different person when I'm writing fiction and when I'm writing history. They're two different people, and but I enjoy that division.
So your work hasn't solely focused on royal figures from our past. You've also been involved in a lot of work with our current royal family, most recently including the wedding of Harry and Meghan. I just wondered what that experience is like.
Oh, well, I mean, it's so wonderful. I mean, I always wanted to write, but I never thought that I'd have the chance to be on TV, and I love breaking news. People say to me, don't you hate it? Don't you get nervous about breaking news? But I love it. I love the adrenaline of it. I love news stories. And I've done so many wonderful royal events, the Royal Wedding in 2011, Diamond Jubilee, and all kinds of events. I mean, I covered the Scottish referendum, which was really interesting, and I did even get called in to cover the referendum on membership of Europe, the Brexit referendum. But I think at about 3 o'clock when it was very clear that the result was not necessarily what everyone had expected, and everyone was sort of saying this is a bit different to what we thought. They didn't really need a historian to talk about the history of the EU then, so I was sent home. But I do. I mean, it's wonderful to cover these big, huge commemorative events, and talk and be part of the team there, and it's just you get such great access as well. When I did the royal wedding in 2011, we were literally just outside Westminster Abbey, so we had such an amazingly close view of Kate Middleton coming out of her car. It was superb, and that's a wonderful thing with TV, is to get this amazing access into one programme I made, Young Victoria. We had Westminster Abbey to ourselves and one behind, and all the statues, and it was superb. So I love news. I love being part of the news agenda, and there are lots more big royal events to come.
So what's next for you?
I am working on a new fact book. Okay. Quite a secret. I'm in a very early stages, but I'm deep in the archives, deep in the letters, in all these amazing letters, and so I'm finding out new things. I'm very excited.
Well, we can't wait to read your book, and thank you so much for talking to us today. It's been brilliant.
Thank you so much for having me, Gemma. It's been fantastic to be a part of Viral History and everything you do, so I'm thrilled to be here.